Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne and today I've got 3 super easy and quick budget-friendly DIYs to do, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to start off with our first DIY with this little flat canvas. I think maybe it's a 4x6. I think it might come in a 4-pack from Dollar Tree. I'm not positive, but I know there's multiple. And then we're going to use apple barrel acrylic paint in the color burnt umber, and I'm just going to give this canvas a coat on the front and the sides. And you can do obviously whatever colors you want, but I was going for this look, so I chose this color. And while that's drying, we're going to start working on our base. So I have these little wooden dominoes. This is in the game section of the Dollar Tree. And then I am just going to use a Gorilla Glue stick to adhere these together. We're going to put the patterned side together so it just looks like a wood piece. You can use any glue you wanted. I just knew that that was going to be sturdy and it was going to dry quickly. While that's setting, we're moving on to these mirrored house wall stickers from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just cutting out the large one and pulling off the little film on top, and then we're going to paint this. So that's why I cut it out, just so I didn't get any paint on the others. And we're just going to use white Waverly chalk paint. And I do give this a couple coats, letting it dry in between, trying to not let it fully clump in where the windows are. You'll kind of see what we do later because some of it does obviously stay in there. And just using some smooth long strokes so that we don't have any lines. And then I thought I wanted to go over the canvas with some white paints. I didn't want the solid brown. And then I ended up changing my mind, but we'll get there. So now that our little wooden piece is dry, or the glue is dry, we're going to paint that along with a little wooden dowel rod that was cut down and sanded, just sanded the edge so it wasn't like super sharp. And we're just going to paint all of this. Now, there's a little gap in between the wooden pieces, so I just made sure to get the paint in there. You could also use some spackling to fill it in, but I really wasn't worried about it. I just made sure I got the paint in there so you couldn't see any wood. And then as you can see, I changed my mind on the canvas. So I put another coat of the burnt umber over top of that little dry brushing of the white. Now everything's dry, so we're going to peel off our house sticker. And as you can see, there's just some paint along the edge. So I'm just using my fingers and then this little tool. This was in the Crafter Square section. But you could use the edge of a paintbrush or even a popsicle stick. And you're just going to go in and kind of just clean off any of the edges where the paint is dried on the edges. I think I said edges a couple too many times there. And then this does have a lot of stickiness on it, but I wanted to make sure it stayed on. So I'm using some hot glue. And then I took a little too long setting it down. So some of the hot glue kind of dried before I got it all in place. So I had to put in a little bit more hot glue, but use whatever you want to adhere that. You could also use some super glue gel or E6000, probably E6000's over the top, but any adhesive glue that you want. And I just am setting that on there. And then we're going to attach that to our base. This is just a cute little filler thing. I almost put a word or like a decal on the top of the house where there was a blank space, but I decided I wanted something just kind of simple and plain here, but for sure jazz it up if you want. And I just hot glued the canvas to the base, and then I put more hot glue in the back and put the little dowel rod just to make it really secure. And then I'm just going to give everything a coat of Mod Podge to make sure that the paint doesn't chip off, especially for the house piece because it was painted on like, I don't know what the material is. It's like a mirrored piece, but it's kind of like a metal. Anyways, didn't want that paint to chip off, so I'm just coating everything with some Mod Podge. And here's how it came out. Like I said, just a kind of a cute, simple filler piece, but you could add more details to it if you wanted. I decided to just show you where I was putting it. I just added it onto the shelf next to a plant. So yeah, that's it for the first DIY. Today's video, I am using Dollar Tree items. I'm using clearance from Hobby Lobby. I'm using Dollar General. I'm just giving you a variety and showing that there are multiple places to buy really inexpensive items for your DIYs. So I hope that you are enjoying it. Let's get on to the next DIY. All right, so I have this rolling pin sign from Dollar General. It was $1. I've actually had this for a while, but I'm pretty sure that they have them out again this season. And I like it, but well, I like to also DIY things, and I like the yellow, but I just wanted to switch it up. So Once again, this is another project that I kind of went back and forth on. That happens a lot when I DIY. That's just the reality of it. I don't always know fully what I'm going to do going into it. But I did tape it off with painter's tape. I didn't want to get anything on the handles, and I didn't want to mess up the center. So I'm going in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And then I went over it with white. I wasn't sure if I want to do like, I don't know, black with like a dry brush of white. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. But let's be honest, guys. Ultimately, I go in, finish off with black. The reason I wanted to do white was because I was going to use some rub-on transfers that were black, but I was afraid that I couldn't match the white on the edges with the white in the center and it would be too obvious. So that's kind of why I went back and forth and I ultimately changed my mind. But that's okay. You can do that. Just paint it again. No big deal. Once the paint was all dry, I am going in with some Mod Podge, and I know you see some other things here that I haven't shown you yet. I tried to put the clips in order to make sense for you, not necessarily in the order I did them. So we'll get to that. So I put some Mod Podge on that just so that the paint would not chip off, and peeled off my painter's tape, and voila, that was all done. Came out really good. And now I've got this metal ribbon type stuff. Now I picked mine up from Hobby Lobby a while ago when it was 50% off, but I know that people have been finding this type of stuff at Dollar Tree as well. And I'm just going to cut off a couple little strips of this. And then I'm going in with a stencil brush and some white Waverly chalk paint. And I'm just kind of pouncing it on, but giving it a full coverage. Sorry for the angles. I'm really trying, but my tripod broke. So I'm just kind of having to do some makeshift stuff to like get a new tripod in. And then I went in, once that was fully dry, with just a little bit of black paint on my stencil brush, and we're just going to go over it to kind of highlight all of those ridges and bumps and all of that texture. I thought that this would be a really fun accent piece. I did also give these pieces a coat of Mod Podge because paint tends to chip off of metal pretty easily. Once everything is dry, we're going to go in with some super glue gel and attach these. Now be careful because the cut metal is sharp, and it also will pull back up. So I just tried to hold it down until it's set, and then I put a little bit on the edges and tried to wrap it around. Still be careful though because it is pretty sharp on those edges. And here's how this one came out. I might hang it in my kitchen or just set it on a shelf or something, but I love the little switch up. I thought it came out cute. All right, so we have one DIY left, and I just wanted to hop on real quick and thank you so much for being here. And if you are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. That's a really easy way to help support my channel and support its growth. Also, if you love budget-friendly DIYs, please consider hitting that red subscribe button down below and making sure your post notification bell is turned on so that you don't miss out on my future videos. Right now, I'm posting once a week on Tuesdays, and then I like to sometimes throw in another video throughout the week or even some lives. So make sure that your notification bell is turned on. All right, let's get into the final DIY. All right, so for this one, we are using this little house piece. This was from Hobby Lobby. I bought it on clearance, way marked down, but you will find similar things at Dollar Tree as well. And these flower stickers from the Dollar Tree. So these have a pretty good stickiness to them, but I am going to use some hot glue just to make sure that it stays on. And we're just going to glue these all over the front of the house, just in whatever design that you want. You could also just do this on a sign if you don't have one of the house shaped pieces. The same concept would work on other shapes, obviously. And now we're going to just go in and give a good coat of white Waverly chalk paint. I actually do 2 coats. I do get the edges as well, even though they're already white, but just so that everything kind of looks cohesive and we have the same shades and finishes and all of that. So I'm trying to do a really good coverage, get around all of the edges, but then wipe away any excess so that it's not like goopy and globby. Are those proper like crafting terms? But we don't want any globs of paint around the edges of the flowers. So once that's all dry, we're going to mix some Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery with some Waverly wax. Now I am mixing it with this to tint it because I only have the clear wax, but I'm learning that that's not totally a bad thing because you can just mix it with paint and give you a tinted color. Now I'm just going to mix this all together, go in with a stencil brush and really go in and work in all of those grooves around the flowers. Wanted to add some more wax in here. And I kind of forgot when I first started doing this that I'm going to wipe brush it on and wipe it off, but ultimately I remembered before I was done. But we're gonna really emphasize the ridges on the flowers, but then I am gonna go in with a little bit across the whole thing, including the sides, just to bring that color in throughout the whole thing. And then we're going to go in with a paper towel and like buff off and wipe off the excess on the whole thing, but really on the flowers. So what you're kind of left with is that color in the grooves, and it really just helps them stand out and pop. And I just love how this looks. And again, this is like a piece with some detail, but it's also a neutral piece with like no words on it, because I love words, but I feel like I have so many things with the words. And I love this, will just be a great little shelf filler piece. And then once again, I'm going in with some Mod Podge because I just like to coat everything with Mod Podge. And that is all that there is for this one. I love how it came out. I think it's really pretty. If you like this video, once again, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and make sure your notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out on my future posts. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.